that is less crowded on the road to success than the road to mediocrity.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Pooski and welcome back to another video. And ladies and gentlemen, today we will be going over the PBA Pete Weber Classic. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the PBA, when we talk about bowling, 9 times, forget that, 10 times out of 10, this clip will always pop up.
That's right! Who do you think you are? I am!
These are some of the most, or probably the most legendary words in bowling, except for good luck and good bowling that they say before every league and before every tournament. But Pete Weber is the greatest showman that bowling has ever seen. Let me go ahead and read off some of this man's achievements. He has 27 standard titles, 10 major titles, 8 PBA 50 titles, 6 PBA 50 major titles, and countless other titles and awards and recognitions, and plus he's a PBA Hall of Famer, and he will continue to bowl on the PBA 50 because he is now officially retired from the national tour, the young kids tour as some of the older players call it. And this is his second time retiring. We all know that he retired back when it was COVID around.
I appreciate all the fans I had. Hate me or love me, you watched. That's all you could do. Thank you.
But my boy said, you know what? Let me go ahead and retire again. If Tom Brady can do it, I can do it. This is seriously Pete Weber fashion. And this show was all about Pete Weber. Every single time that camera went to Pete, he took it all in. He was taking it all in. But now let's go ahead and get into what the show was, because this show, I gotta say, was great to watch. The players on this show was Anthony Simonson, the 5th seed. The 4th seed, AJ Johnson. Number 3 seed, Matt Russo. The 2nd seed was EJ Sackett. And topping the stepladder and truly making a case to put him in Player of the Year contention this year, Bill O'Neal. Alright, we done got all that stuff out of the way. Let's go ahead and get into this PBA Pete Weber Missouri Classic with match number 1, Anthony Simonson versus AJ Johnson. Now, Anthony Simonson, he starts off with the gym, and I think this is his little go-to ball right now. Just like how the Idol has been over the past years, this gym, he has truly been working it, and he solid 9s his first shot. And literally, if you watch PBA Instagram or YouTube, or if you've seen the clip on Bowl TV, Pete Weber's last shot was a solid 9.
How appropriate did I solid 9 on one of my last shots?
Last strike ball, let's say that, because he picked up the spare in the 10th frame. But it just was such a coincidence that we start off this show just like that. AJ Johnson starts off with the Jackal Ghost. I truly love that ball, and he gets a good break as the ball kind of sort of looks like it loses its energy down lane, kind of dies in the pocket and gets a nice little soft hit, but still strikes. A strike is a strike. But then in the 2nd frame, he throws a good one. Simo comes out in the 2nd frame. He pulls it left, leaving a 2-6-7 split. He picks that up, and then he finally gets a strike on the left lane in the 3rd frame. After starting off with a double, AJ comes out in the 3rd frame, and his ball reads way too much.
AJ Johnson. It's a situation.
And he only picks up 3. but then he strikes in the following frame. Now in the 4th frame, Simo leaves the 10 pin, but in the next frame, he continues the strikes on that left lane. Now AJ struck in the 4th frame, but in the 5th frame, he leaves the 8 pin as the ball kind of doesn't get up enough, just like how the first one it was kinda, and he goes ahead and spares that off and gets another strike on that left lane. I'm telling you, sometimes that's how it is, especially in league. I remember one time in league, I was on an end pair, and literally my game was strike, open, or strike, spare, strike, spare. I could strike on one lane, just couldn't get it go on the other. Now, in the 7th frame, AJ continues to have not a consistent read or a consistent carry on that lane, and he splits once again. And he got this close to picking up this split.
Back weeks.
Now, right now, Anthony Simonson is sitting nice and pretty in the lead as AJ in the 8th frame leaves a 10 pin. Now, since the 4th frame, Simo has been putting these strikes together all up until the 9th frame as he leaves the 9 pin and he picks that up. Now, AJ, the rest of the match, which it's only a few frames for him, continues to struggle, and literally the game is in Anthony Simonson's hand, and he wins and moves on to the next match. Oh, and to let y'all know, they are bowling on the PBA dragon pattern. I need to go ahead and say that. I realized I haven't been saying it in the last video. I just threw it in there so y'all could see what pattern they were throwing on. But yes, the dragon pattern. Now we have match 2, Anthony Simonson versus Matt Russo. And one thing about Matt Russo, he has changed, is that he has took his thumb out of the ball. Now, Matt Russo is a two-hander, and he was a two-hander with the thumb in the ball, but now he has decided to take it out. I'm not sure what that does to a person, because I'm not two-handed, so I don't know if it helps you get better grip or if it helps you get more revs. I don't know what happens when you take the thumb out the ball. All I can tell you is that I'm one-handed, and that's how I throw. Now, Matt comes out, and of course, I think he's nervous, and he Brooklyn strikes his first shot with the theorem. And Simo decides to stick with the gem and strikes in the first frame, but in the 2nd frame, he leaves the 4-pin. Now, Matt Russo, I guess he's seen 2 different types of shapes on the lane and decided that he's going to go with that little bit of that duo, that 2-ball arsenal, and he decided to throw the 3D offset attack on the right lane, and he struck with that ball. And with that 2-ball arsenal, he started off with the front 4, but in that 5th frame, don't you love how runs in, especially when you're starting off so good? He leaves a 7-10 split. And when they came back from commercial break in the 6th frame for Matt, he stops his shot when he gets to the foul line because he hears a buzzing to the side.
Russo.
Something's buzzing over here.
I'm not sure if it was a phone, machine, or what so have you, but it was enough that he stopped his shot and stopped his progression. Even though he should have just kept on going, because when he goes up again in the 6th frame, he comes up out of his shot, and luckily it did not go into the gutter, but the ball comes back and it leaves a washout. And with that, he could only get 2 pins, but he does go on to strike in the 7th frame. All right, so now to catch up on Anthony Simonson, y'all been hearing me talk about Mr. Matt Russo. Anthony has been working on 6 strikes. All right. We call that a 6-pack, but we don't have PBR no more, so yeah, a 6-bagger, I guess.
That we'll get to. On a heater. 5 straight strikes for Simo, make it 6.
Now, Matt right now isn't getting the carry. He throws a good shot in the 8th, but leaves the 10 pin, and in the 9th frame, he leaves the 4 pin as he goes Brooklyn side. And this game is all but over. Simonson doesn't really have to do much work because of those 6 strikes in a row. And in the 9th frame, he leaves the 10 pin, and instead of going for it, he already knows the game is basically over. He throws a practice shot with the attention to star to see what's going on. That was hard to say, but to see how that ball will react and see if that would be good to switch to or transition to. And in the 10th, he strikes with it to move on to match number 3 versus EJ Tackett. Yeah, I'm sorry. LA Knight. That's LA Knight. Sorry. Now this right here, this is a good one, okay? My top 2 favorite players, Anthony Simonson, EJ Tackett. I've been waiting for something like this. Now, although Simonson was throwing the attention star, he decides that he has a better look with the gem, so he sticks with it and he comes out striking. EJ decides to start with the primal shock and he starts off looking nice with a double. Simo leaves a 10 pin in the second frame and he picks it up, and I'm telling y'all, I don't know how. Storm, please, I want one of these pink breast cancer awareness bowling balls. I wasn't into bowling when these were out. I know certain people have them, but I want one so bad. Please, my Belmo, it's good. I don't even use it like that, but if I get the pink, I'll use it. I promise. But in the third, he strikes. Now, EJ sent a beautiful messenger in the third, but that 10 pin would just not fall, and he picks it up, and he goes on to the fourth frame to strike. Simo officially switches to the attention star, and he kind of, sort of...
Major level, fitting for Pete Weber. There's the ball change right there.
And he only gets 2. So on the left lane in the next frame, he decides, all right, attention star, I don't know what that was, so I'm gonna just go back to my old faithful right now, the gem, and it leaves a 10 pin. He knows that it's time to transition or time to make adjustments somewhere. He just doesn't know what to do right now, because you're leaving 10 pins with this and the attention star just something has to change in order to stay consistent and go on to this championship and win this championship. EJ then comes out in the 5th frame and leaves a pocket 7-10 split, one of the worst feelings as a bowler. A beautiful shot that just leaves bedpost. Then he has a little bit of split fever, as in the 6th he also leaves another split.
Too. Of course it has to split. Why wouldn't it?
Almost another 7-10, honestly. Anthony just decides, let me stick with this gem, but it keeps leaving 10 pins as it did in the 6th frame. And in the 7th, he comes high and it leaves a 4 pin and he picks it up. I mean, when you have a ball that kind of isn't finishing, but leaving you good pin count, sometimes you just got to stick with it. The game right now is basically even, and every shot from here on out is very important and crucial to winning this game. EJ starts to look very frustrated as he pulls the ball and keeps it a little bit too tight, and he leaves 3. He picks it up and then he throws it tight again to leave the 3 and the 6, and he picks those up also. Simo just can't get away from these 10 pins as he left another one in the 8th, but he finally strikes in the 9th frame. Now the main thing right now to remember about Anthony Simonson is that he has not struck on the right lane all game. So he's finishing on that lane. He needs them. And with EJ, he needs to get back on his horse here, but that 10 pin just wasn't having it. Now in the 10th frame, he needs to strike out to give himself just a slither of hope to win this match. He strikes with his first ball. He strikes with his second. And with his third, he strikes again. Although EJ struck out, all Anthony Simonson needs is a double and 1 pin to win. He gets the first strike.
2 strikes and 1 pin to win.
And he gets the second. And all he needs to do right now is keep it on the lane in order to guarantee his spot in the finals and the championship match versus Bill O'Neill. And he decides to give the attention star another look, and he strikes again.
In a battle between 2 of the world's best.
And moves on to the finals match versus Bill O'Neill. The 5th seed, Anthony Simonson, coming from all the way at the bottom of the stepladder, going through every competitor to make it to the top versus the real deal, Bill O'Neal. Let's see how this finishes. Simo officially says, okay, I think we're good, and he starts off with the attention star and he strikes. Bill O'Neal decides to start with the theorem, and he comes high in the first frame and leaves the 6 pin, and he picks that up, and in the second frame he strikes. He gets another strike in the third frame, but in the fourth frame it looks like the ball skids a little bit and it goes right up the break point, and he leaves a split. Anthony starts off with a triple, but of course Mr. 10 pin says hello again in the fourth. He gets back on that strike train in the fifth frame. Bill also gets a strike in the fifth frame, but in the sixth frame he gets it right and he leaves another split, and he only gets one. Anthony strikes in the sixth, so going into the seventh frame he has a double, as once again he leaves another 10 pin. Now Bill O'Neal once again strikes on that right lane, but God bless him on this left lane, as he cannot get it to go, and he leaves yet another split.
I'm gonna get enough practice on the TD pair.
Anthony strikes in the 8th frame, and all but surely with this next ball he can put this game away. He leaves the 10 pin in the 9th frame and he spares it off, but that's all he needs to claim the Pete Weber Missouri Classic.
And how fitting is it that the most polarizing figure in the sport, with another polarizing figure and legend watching him.
So Anthony Simonson runs the stepladder, going through 4 matches, 4 different competitors, and still pulling off the victory, something that reminds me a little bit of what Mr. Pete Weber once did in order to say the most legendary line. But Anthony's story, I have always talked about it, is one that I recommend you watch. He literally has a documentary on Flow Bowling YouTube page. I put it in the description, or tagged it or something like that in my video talking about my favorite bowlers. But Anthony Simonson's story is crazy, to say none the least, and to have a tournament named after one of the legends of the game, Pete Weber, the greatest showman, I mean, that's cool in and of itself. So yes, Anthony Simonson, the 5th seed, comes back to win the Pete Weber, excuse me, sorry, it's been a struggle, trust, and run the stepladder to win. Oh my goodness. Anthony Simonson wins the Pete Weber Classic. He runs the stepladder, going through the likes of AJ Johnson, Matt Russo, EJ Tackett, and the real deal, Bill O'Neal. Congratulations to Anthony. I will see you guys in the next one.
Everybody in the club make it loud. Let me hear some noise from the crowd.